In this episode, we interviewed Mike Hoffman, a.k.a. Mr. Passive. He built a vending machine portfolio and then went on to build a community on top of that. That's now generating $50,000 to $80,000 a month that he only started earlier this year. Tune in to the rest of the episode to hear everything he's done to build his business, as well as some additional hacks he actually talks about in health as well.
We've got my buddy, Mr. Passive, Mike Hoffman. Mike is a serial entrepreneur, grew up in the Midwest, like myself. He's a sports guy, went to school for exercise science, worked at an awesome startup in that space for injury prevention and strength and conditioning for athletes, and then from there built several businesses. He became Mr. Passive, I think, starting off in real estate investing. We were buddies talking about that a long time, known Mike for a decade or more now. And since then, he's branched off into sort of ancillary businesses around that bring in income, mini markets and vending machines that I want to talk more about. Please don't get mad at me for calling them vending machines, but I like the mini market approach more. I'm going to start doing this stuff with him. And then he's got a call center business as well that I think could be applicable for our business and many other people in the real estate space. So appreciate you joining, man. And it's good to see your face and catch up with you whenever we do get to talk.
Yeah, Jeff, stoked to be here. Grateful for the invite and excited to chop it up with you and Brock today.
Love it. Love it. So why don't we, so I gave a background on you. I mean, why don't we... I want to turn it over to you at least and just let you give your sort of, and you can start wherever you want. You start back in the days of just laying the wood on people on the gridiron, or you can start when you started buying your first real estate deal. But why don't you give us a little minute-long background on who you are and how you got to where you are and where we're going next?
Yeah, so I think it all kind of started with the upbringing. My dad was a entrepreneur himself, had a veterinary service in Iowa, large animal, small animal, 50-mile radius, just trying to make ends meet with us going to private schools and giving us those kind of academic and athletic opportunities. So that's probably where I saw it. And then also, I had to pay for everything growing up. So my first job was at McDonald's right on I-80, making freaking Big Macs and $14 an hour. And yeah, so just kind of realizing then that I don't want to do this my whole life. I don't want to work till I'm 65. And then as a strength coach, you're kind of at the mercy of the season. So football season, athletes work out and do recoveries on Sunday, game days on Saturday. There's really no days off. So that's probably when I had my first aha moment of I need some other income streams because this is not going to be a long-term solution to a work-life balance.
Makes a ton of sense. I did not know one thing too that I always pick up on in these things. I'd known most about your most of the stuff that you mentioned in your background, but I did not know you worked at Mickey D's, man. So
wait, $14 an hour at McDonald's? What McDonald's were you working at? I got $6.25.
I was gonna say it was probably like $7 an hour. Yeah.
Brock fact checking on the hourly wage at McDonald's.
$7 an hour. So
you guys both worked at Mickey D's,
yeah.
and I, the thing is, the reason I pointed that out is you can look back and see so many people that are successful entrepreneurs that started at McDonald's, right? Yeah. I know, not to name drop GC, but Grant Cardone talks about he was flipping burgers at McDonald's and he hated it, but the guy next to him was like learning everything about the business, and then he went on to own 50 or so McDonald's, and but I do think there's something there about people that start in jobs like that, whether it's McDonald's or other roles like that, and realizing different things about where they want to take their lives from that point. So I didn't know that about you, man.
Yeah. Well, and think about because one thing I'm really passionate about is freedom over revenue. I'd rather delegate and build systems and remove myself from the business to have that freedom to spend time with family, go all that. And you think about McDonald's, like everything, the system is built out so it's plug and play. And that's how every business should be. It shouldn't be hinged on one person or a bottleneck here or there. Like the whole design from the workflow to like how the burger is cooked, from this grill to the ketchup to the mustard to it gets in the bag to like you have 30 seconds in the drive-through, like that whole system is just, looking back on it, it's like, holy shit, that's a really impressive business model.
Incredibly impressive. And that's why they're still so big today, even though it's, not necessarily food that people are realizing that they want to eat. And I know so this whole show is Winning Wealth. The premise and the idea behind it is, how to build a life of wealth, health, and happiness. So it's not just business. We talk a lot about business. We talk about real estate, because we do a lot of that, but also health and happiness. And I know you're big into those too. So maybe before we dive into some of your business stuff, like Mike's big on optimization, human health and performance optimization. I think that's kind of from your background there. But why don't you talk to us a little bit about, like, what are the things that you're doing from a health standpoint that allow you to be the person that you want to be in business, and then allow you to flow. It's this harmonious existence where you're able to, the healthier you are, the better you can do, the more energy you have for your business, and then the more energy you have for your family. If your business is systematized and sort of the McDonald's approach there, right, and everything's moving along well, you have more passive income, Mr. Passive, and have time to spend with your family and hit the golf course like we like to do as well. So what do you give us some health hacks? I'm taking this route that I normally do.
Yeah, that's putting me on the spot. So first thing I like to do is wake up and have some type of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. So this morning I woke up, had a protein shake, threw a rucksack on my back, and went and walked my dog, get a little zone 2 cardio. This is before my lift. But I think, kind of 3 things I'm passionate about are some type of resistance training. If you've read any of the latest research on longevity, people that do strength, at the end of the day, you want to put stress on your body. The second thing for me that's been huge for probably more my mental health than the physical side, and growing up in exercise science and as a coach, we use cold tubs for a lot of like muscle soreness type stuff. But I have a sauna and a cold plunge in my garage gym, and the cold plunge to me is such a mental battle that we'll get into the dopamine effect of, like, it's 3x the effect of a nitro cold brew or something like that. But just that battle of, you want to procrastinate and not do it, and it freaking sucks no matter what temperature it's at. When you win that, you already feel like you won the day.
Dude, it's you against you on that thing, man.
Oh, and you're like getting ready to get in. You're like, oh, I'm going to check my Twitter real quick. I'm going to see, did the Packers win last night? Like, you're trying to find every reason not to get in that damn cold plunge. But after 3 minutes in that thing, you're like, I can go to the golf course. I already won the day.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. Funny story. Brock's probably thinking about it too. But Brock spent last winter in Miami. I went and visited him for a week at one point, and he goes to this gym called Anatomy. Shout out Anatomy. It's a great gym there, and they got the sauna, the steam room, the cold plunge, and the hot tub there, and it's a great way, after your workout to get together. They have it all. It's like co-ed. You can socialize and talk through stuff in there. And I was feeling like a badass. I've been in many cold plunge tubs in my day, particularly after football practices. And but I'm not doing it regularly, right? And you kind of forget. And I'm like, you know what, Brock, I've done this plenty of times. And I you have to walk down the stairs to get into this thing too. And I walked down there, and instantly I'm like, oh man. And I thought my legs were gonna give out, so I had to hop out. Now I jumped out really quick. I was like, okay, I was not mentally prepared for that battle, but then I got back in afterwards and stayed in it for a while. But Brock, I know you like the cold plunges too. Why don't you talk about?
That's the setup I want. I mean, I think when I was down there, I was hitting the cold plunge every day and doing I think like morning sun walks, saunas, cold plunge. I mean, those 3 things are just like such huge hacks where it resets your mind. I mean, you just feel so energetic after doing those 3 things. So I don't have a cold plunge access here in Milwaukee. There's literally no places in Milwaukee I could find that have a cold plunge, and I live in an apartment, so I can't get my own. So it's something that I'm missing in my life right now, and I'm very much on the morning card.
Sounds like an excuse.
It is. I probably could figure out a way to do it somehow. I do the cold showers, but I just not the same.
Isn't it Milwaukee on some lake, and doesn't it get really cold there? I mean, what other excuse do you need? You need another...
I love it. Well, and that's Mike, buddy. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. I mean, you do have a great setup in all of those areas: the wealth, health, happiness. You got a great family, and you're a dad, you're a husband, and prioritize that as well. But I knew you had the setup with the sauna and the cold plunge, and I know you know what you're doing when it comes to strength training, resistance training, and what you do on a daily basis with routine. So I wanted to touch on that too. But the other thing that you do really well, and I've been really impressed with, because I think everybody out there should try to find ways to add additional income. Right? If you can create more streams of income, particularly if they're diversified, right? You can weather a lot of different storms. You can really change your life. I've told people for years, if you just get to the point where you have, even 2 or 3 or 4 rental properties, like if you get to that point, it really, while you might have other challenges and different problems that come up, you get to a certain point where you have other income coming in and it can offset other challenges when you're diversified like that. So why don't we talk about the passive income thing? So take us through maybe your first deal where you started adding, cash flow on a monthly or a semi-regular basis, and we're able to offset, your traditional income.
Yeah, so I think the first rental I got was in real estate when I was coaching in St. Louis. It was a classic $75,000 house. We bought it 20% down. It's going to rent out for $900. So me being a young pup, it's like, oh, it passes the 1% rule. So it's going to make me money. Like, that's just how I looked at it. And then I parlayed that. And keep in mind,
What year was that?
strength, that was 2011. And then as a strength coach, I was only making $1,200 a month. So you can imagine putting 14 grand down on a 70K rental was a little scary.
Really income.
Yeah, that was my monthly income, 1,200 a month. And so literally my yearly income. But then 2 years later, I was able to save up enough and I got a second one, took a job in Silicon Valley, was going through kind of a midlife thing. Even though I was only like 25 at the time. So I was like, yeah, I'll move to Palo Alto. Why not figure this out? And long story short, I sold one of those properties and 1031 into a vacation rental, a condo up in Oregon. I think I bought that rental for 75, sold it for 120, 50K capital gains, bought this condo in Bend, Oregon, and got into the vacation rental game in around 2018. And that's when COVID hit, I kind of was like, look, I don't want real estate super hot. What are other things that don't require a lot of capital? And people don't understand this with vending machines, and I didn't either, is you can get up and running for less than $1,000. Everyone's like, oh, well, you need to buy a vending machine. Well, buying a vending machine is like going to a car dealership. They're going to ask you straight up, you want to finance a machine or do you want to buy it outright? And for me, I finance them and I use the profits within the first year to pay off the whole damn thing. So I'd take that 6K vending machine over a 60-month financing plan and I just paid off early in the first year, every single machine. It just parlay them into the next one.
So I'll tell you what, ever since you started getting into the vending business and I started following you and we've had some conversations about it and we're gonna get into business here together, but I look every hotel I go to, every airport I go to, I see these things and I'm just like, somebody there has this little cash machine, right? And then they figured out some systems on the back end to have people stock it, and then so why don't you walk us through, because even now you mentioned, okay, vending machines that you pay them off in the first year and that's great, but like, how does someone go about getting into this business? Like, where do you look for opportunities? What what does someone do if they want to add $1,000 a month?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at the end of the day, you want high foot traffic, and that could be anything from 2 weeks ago, I had to get a new real ID driver's license. So I went into the DMV. I had a 45-minute wait. So guess what I did? I walked up to the front desk and I was like, hey, there's a lobby of people waiting here. You don't even have a water fountain. Where's your vending machine? And they're like, that's a great question. Let me intro you to the manager. So they're all around us. Like you said, when you travel through an airport, that's an easy one because you're just killing time before you depart. We just had our baby 10 days ago and the cafe closes at 2 p.m. Well, guess what? What are all the evening and the night nurses doing to stay caffeinated? You know, like they're all grumpy because they don't have any coffee or anything because the cafe's closed. Well, let's talk about a cold brew machine, you know? And so there's opportunity all around us that I'm super bullish on these micro markets. And you go stay at a Marriott. I had a buddy text me last night. He's checking into a Marriott in Florida, and he went to get a snack out of the micro market. Well, guess what he has to do to pay for that thing? He has to wait in line at the front desk. So he's sending me a picture while he's waiting in line. And it's like, guys, there's technology these days where all of that friction can be removed.
I'm at a Marriott right now in Southern California. It's an awesome Marriott, Lido House. Shout out Lido House to Newport Beach, but same thing, right? It's right. I mean, it's right down there. You go grab. You know, they got the protein drinks and some healthy snacks there, which is great. But then you got to stand in line and wait, and it's a busy hotel, right? So you wait for them, and so the value proposition for you when you go to these like a hotel, for example, or any of those establishments, a DMV, hospital, right, is you're just providing a service for the people that are already going there, right? They're already spending money there, or they're working there, or whatever. They have to be there, and you're providing a way for them to stay, fueled, stay caffeinated, whatever. And that the staff of the establishment, whether it's the hotel or not, they don't have to deal with people trying to just, add more, get some food, right? Get something.
Yeah. Well, you're spot on. And to even take it a step back further, Jeff, like you have a bunch of your listeners that are in commercial real estate. So I have a vendingpreneur of mine in Phoenix that went and met with a big commercial real estate management group. And guess what? At the end of the day, it's all about providing them an amenity. And what do these people want to do? They want to fill up their building with tenants. Well, what's going to help them sell to these businesses to come bring people back to the office? Amenities. So fast Wi-Fi. It's the Facebook Zuckerberg model. We don't want them to leave campus to go get lunch. So we're going to provide lunch here.
100%. 100%.
So so it sounds like there's like different sorts of vending machines that you're involved with, right? They're not just all like the straight up traditional snack ones. You got different. Is that true? There's multiple different kinds that you're involved with?
Yeah, so kind of the most recent wave, Brock, is these micro markets, which is, and the most general sense is the self-checkout kiosk you see at a grocery store. So now airports these days, you walk down to the terminal like Denver, you walk down to the terminal because I'm flying into the middle of nowhere, Idaho. I'm on the in terminal. They're going to put these micro markets with no staff. So you're just going to grab that Dr. Pepper, check out. There'll be a camera there that'll have what's called panoramic theft detection, smart vision. So if you grab that Dr. Pepper, but you don't go to the kiosk to pay for it, you're going to get alerted as theft. So with the technology these days, you don't need a person there to check you out for that Dr. Pepper. And the other great thing with this is you reduce the friction of like my mom or dad don't even know how to use the numbers on a vending machine, but they can like find a barcode and scan it and pay for cash. So like these micro markets will do 3 to 4x of any machine in the same location. So we're swapping out vending machines with micro markets and doing triple the revenue.
Interesting. And how many, the combination of vending and micro markets, like how many do you have total?
I think I'm up to 14, but I just met, I live here in Oregon. There's a manufacturing plant I just met with. They have 4 machines from the Coca-Cola distributor in Oregon, and the Coca-Cola, they make more money on refilling kegs than they do vending machines. So these machines aren't being stocked, where vending's my core focus. So we're going to put in a micro market in there, 500 migrant workers, 24/7 shifts. So nighttime shifts, 3 shifts all day, truckers and contract workers in the summer, because it's an agricultural farm. That thing is going to do over 15 grand a month.
Wow.
We're going to be stocking it 3 times a day. And if you have the systems in place, the guy I hired to do it's $20 an hour.
So that's, did you have something you want to say, Brock? Or
that's kind of what I was going to do. I was trying to get to like, to give people an idea, and myself as well, because I have no idea like how much these things actually make, right? So that sounds like it's that one's killing it. So there's a big range, I guess, right? Of like that.
Yeah. So like 100-unit apartment will do $1,000 with a vending machine. It'll do $3,000 with a micro market. I mean, think about it. You're putting like the Marriott I stayed in last week. They had the macaroni microwavables. They were selling for $6 a pop. Those things cost $1.30 on Amazon.
Yeah.
And guess what? Jeff's like, yeah, room charge it because my work's paying for it.
Yeah.
Right. So you're totally right. Like with business travelers, especially, right? There's less. Obviously you want to be smart. And be a steward of even the company's capital that you work for. But still, you're thinking less about the $6 when you're hungry. Than you might be if you were paying for it yourself. And so finding and Tillman Fertitta, I might have butchered his last name there, but the guy who owns the Rockets, he owns Lowry's, he owns all those, and he basically said that he caters to business travelers because they have corporate cards, corporate expense accounts, and they don't think as much about that. And this is just one spin on that. What I wanted to figure out is I think of everything through a sales lens, right? I understand how we could go get these vending machines and screw the vending machines, get the mini markets into these places, right? But like, how did you figure out how to systematize on the back end? Like, do you have like standard operating procedures? Like, I get you got to hire somebody to stock them, but
yeah. So the first 2 years of this route that I built here in Oregon, I stocked it myself. And it's a classic gig thing. So you can do it on your way to the golf course, on your way to the grocery store. Like when you're out and about running errands, at the end of the day, if I'm on a work trip and the machine's out of Snickers, people are just going to buy Twix. It's not like a pipe burst in your rental and you got to have someone over there tomorrow. It's student drink. They're going to buy a Pepsi if Coke is out. So
they're not.
Yeah, exactly. But like you think about the systems, I track the inventory on my phone. So literally I can see, okay, I sold 5 monsters last night for $4.50 a pop. That's $25 while I was sleeping. And I get the monsters from Costco.com free delivery for $1.45. Like it's just 4x return, 3x return. It's simple. But yeah, it's simple. Systemize it, and then you need an operator. So in my case, I posted a job ad in Gigs. Craigslist has this section called Gigs under jobs, and it's your Ubers, your DoorDashes. Basically what Gigs means is I don't care if you do it at 8 a.m. or 12 p.m. You turn on when you want to work, right? So I posted a job ad, $20 an hour. If you do a great job, after 90 days, I'll give you 5% of profits. I had 40 applicants in 48 hours. And I had everything from college kids to the guy that I hired is he's a dad of 2 that drives 45 minutes to drop his kids off at a Catholic school here in Eugene. He lives out in the country, 42 miles away, which is the same thing I did growing up in Iowa. So like we just hit it off. And Jeff, after that meeting yesterday, literally after this call, I got to call him and say, hey, if these guys sign up with a micro market, I want you to quit your day job because I can afford to bring you on full time.
Boom. I mean, what you're doing is and great entrepreneurs do this. They see gaps in the market, and whatever it might be, right? And you've kind of found this sort of convergence of, their gig work is everybody's trying to figure out ways to, it's how Uber and Instacart and all those different gig work opportunities everybody wants flexibility in their life these days, right? And so you found a way to provide gig work to people while you're also finding a way to help take the burden off the staff of hotels and airports and DMVs and whatever, and provide a service. So it's neat to hear about this sort of convergence of like all these different trends. Not to mention like the mini markets you can stock with healthier food, right? I'll go pay up to eat something that's relatively healthier in a mini market that's more of a modern style vending market than a traditional vending machine. But if you're hungry or you need some energy, like you're gonna pay whatever for those things. So I think that's so cool what you're doing, and I'm pumped to hear more about it. I'm pumped to do something with you here someday. I'm telling you, we're gonna do it. I think the focus that you have on, making money while you sleep is also a great way to do it. And also taking ego out. Like a lot of people that we talk to, they want to own 1,000 units or 100,000 units, right? But sometimes you got to give what the market is, you got to take what the market's giving you, right? And right now, commercial real estate can be very, very tough. We just talked about that, raising capital, putting together the debt and the equity for real estate deals is really challenging. And you kind of took that. Now you were going down the short-term rental route, and then kind of saw this gap with vending machines and built a community for what were you calling them? Vendingpreneurs.
Vendingpreneurs, yeah, which is
Coin that.
not yet. I don't know. I mean, technically, it's not trademarked or anything like that, but yeah. But you bring up a great point, because what you said, it comes back to flexibility. People want the option, because the first thing I always say is, like, I don't care if you stock in the morning or night, it needs done once a week. I don't care if it's Monday or Friday, it needs done once a week. It's your choice. And when you give people the power of choice, they're going to do it. And the other side of this, putting the ego aside, I don't care if the vending, you can probably get 60% margins. That's what I was getting when I was doing it. I'd rather get 50% margins and not do anything but track the inventory on my phone.
Is there
hire someone to do it?
Is there any so of course, it sounds like a great business, right? I think, like Jeff said, there's a lot of great businesses you get involved with. Real estate's one of them that we're obviously really involved with, and it's tough right now to find deals. Is there, someone that's listening to this saying, I want to get into this business, is there a passive side to it as well, where someone can invest? You've already done all the legwork to set it up. Do you offer people can invest alongside you on this, or is there anyone that does? Or is this more so hey, if you want to get in this business, go out and learn these things and set up your first shop?
Right now, there's not hey, I want to put $50K behind your business and help you get machines or manufacturing. Potentially could get to that point. Last week I met with 3 of the corporate VPs of Marriott and DC, and if they're hey, we were talking everything from Ritz's to Courtyards. And if they're hey, we want to put markets in every new Ritz, I'm not going to have the capital to just, these are going to have all the bells and the whistles. So maybe we'll get to that point. Yeah, that'd be a great problem to have, right? But I think now what scares people, which is really a good qualifier, is that candy bar has to get in the machine. And you're either doing it or you're hiring someone to do it. There's no hey, we're going to have an e-com store that we buy it and just ship it directly to the buyer. It's this has to get put in there. And to me, that's what separates the competition. The meeting I had yesterday, they have literally 4 machines sitting there that are 90% empty. And it was perfect, because it was everyone's oh, the market's too saturated. Vending machines have been around forever. It's yeah, exactly. And there's a bunch of people that are lazy that we're taking their business.
100%. So, yeah. And I think that's a good approach. I don't know if you look at things, on we've talked about, goals plenty of times, different stuff like that, how you measure, different objectives that you want to shoot for, either on a quarterly basis or a yearly basis or whatever. But at some point you build this big enough and it's easy. You can start a fund for anything. You can go out and say, hey, look, I have this business model in place. We do this amount of cash flow, call it EBITDA or whatever, right? This amount of revenue, this amount of cash flow afterwards. And you know what? I have this angle that I can go into all the Ritzes or whatever deal that you have, and then go off and basically syndicate equity capital to go buy these things and hire people and essentially build a really big fund out of that. But the best part about it is, going back to what you were talking about before, is the freedom. You've got the freedom to choose if you want to take it that big, or if you don't, you want to keep it all in house. You don't need to take on any investor capital, and that's what people are looking for. And that's why I think this is I'm having so much fun with this one, man, already.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. Having options is always good.
Freedom, options, choice. So then let's go to the other one. So you then realize you built a community for vendingpreneurs, and then realized okay, the hard part is to find, or one of the hard parts is always, on the sales end, outreach, trying to find ways to, find where we could stick one of these vending machines or mini markets. I'll stop calling them vending machines, but you maybe I will, maybe not. So you started looking around. You built a team, like a call center team, and I guess I don't want to butcher it. Why don't you tell us about that business that you're starting that's kind of ancillary to this vending machine business?
Yeah. So I have this community of vendingpreneurs, and kind of the gist of it is I help them for 6 months get off the ground running for vending routes wherever they live. And part of that service we offer is cold calling into leads. So Jeff lives in Milwaukee. We're going to scrape those high traffic locations we talked about earlier, airports, DMVs, hotels. We're going to call into these businesses on behalf of Jeff and the Packers Suck Vending at gmail.com, whatever we want to call it. And literally we're gonna dial in, and I've had Philippines callers, love them to death, terrible to manage because of the time zone difference. Right now I have a call center that I hire for $32 an hour out of Ohio. That's my largest business expense. And these people are probably making a minimum wage, and the call center is taking half the cut. And I'm paying this call center $32 an hour, which is like a premium for cold calling. Anyway, these people are miserable, and I was like, this just sucks, and it's the biggest expense I have. So then I was like, why not start a call center in a Central American type, they're in our time zone, and Belize has English speaking as their number one language. So I started a call center. We just signed up a roofing company. We test all the callers with my vendingpreneurs first as like a beta test, because I can control that quality control. And then any service-based company we help. And I think you guys get this, but like data is king, and at finding these leads, like who's going to be the people that turn over every rock to find a lead who's going to win in today's market, whether that's a solar or roofing company looking for leads, or a realtor looking for someone looking to sell or buy, or what have you.
Yeah, we just talked about that on the last episode, where we're recapping this Winning Wealth real estate summit that we did, and one of the points that I brought up was the traits of someone being successful, whether they're a real estate broker, whether they're a business owner, whether they're whatever, right? It's all pretty similar, right? Like you got to put in the work, you got to find your edge some way or another. You got to find the opportunities, and then you're just building a service around helping people find those gaps, find those opportunities.
Well, when you think of the where things have shifted, everything's gone to like cold email and automation and LinkedIn auto requests and all of that stuff. That where we really found a lot of our leads in vendingpreneurs. I had a guy that signed up in Denton, Texas, and I was like, hey, while we do the cold calling, just go pop into 3 apartment complexes. You got 2 out of the 3 that want to sign up, because guess what? Everyone else is too lazy to go do the face-to-face or the cold calling.
Door knocking, man. It's
exactly.
As much as I love Chat GPT and Google Bard, and I do think and I use that stuff on a daily basis, right? But you use it to augment your own abilities and your own skills. You're never going to be able to replace someone that's willing to actually get uncomfortable or get comfortable being uncomfortable, knocking on a door, calling someone, and trying to close a deal, trying to find an opportunity first and close a deal.
Yeah, Friday, I went for a run around campus. I was like, oh, it's fall, college football's in the air. Well, I ran by 2 apartments that have already told me no via email. Guess what? I had to stop my run. I had to pop in. And literally, both of them are like, oh, the timing just wasn't great last time. Well, can we talk next week? I'm like, that's just from the door knocking.
Man, that gets me fired up. And that'll never, I don't see that ever going away. That's going the extra step to get what you want, and also to help people, right? You're finding ways to be able to solve a need for someone, and you're being persistent about it. And I always call it professional persistence, right? You just want to keep knocking at whoever you're trying to get in touch with, and eventually it's not a no, it's a not right now, and eventually you can convert that into a yes, and you're doing business, and now you want another big apartment building complex for your business.
Yeah, I love that. It's not a no, it's a not right now.
It's never a no. Brock, what else you want to know about Mike? I know a lot, so I don't want to. I can keep talking, but
So, as you mentioned, you're building this community. What's the goal with that? Like, so it's obviously to educate people on this business, but like, what's the longer term goal with you for that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the first goal was like education, and you know how you get those questions from 5 different people, and you're like, okay, if more than one person's asking you the same question, then a lot of people have that same question. And so that's kind of how I started building it. Is I had some friends, CJ in LA, and a couple of people in San Diego and Salt Lake, that were just
I'm getting
asking me
lunch with him
questions
after
about.
this, by the way. But
Oh, sweet. But you know, they ask these questions about vending, and you're just tired of repeating the same answer. So I was like, how do I build this asynchronized way of things? And started posting things about short-term rentals and vending on social media, and everyone came back to asking about vending. So I built this community and leveraged my cold callers and email strategy wherever they live. But Brock, data is king, right? And you think about these leads we pull, and we could drip them about ATMs. We could drip them about cleaning services. We could drip them about roofing. We could drip them about basically any. This is a property that it's amenities, right? And so, you know, the cool thing about our group is we started with vending. We evolved to micro markets now. We have guest speakers from like nitro cold brew machines, phone charging kiosk machines that are in these medical offices where people are waiting for their doctor's appointment and paying to charge their phone at them. So just kind of evolving that service and that amenity, because now they're sitting on all the leads we kind of pulled for them. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. As I kind of related back to e-com in 2015 of like, oh, this is a cool little side hustle. And then 2018 was like, holy cow, this can replace my 9 to 5. And then 2023, it's like the only people really making money are the ones that have the older stores from the beginning. So I think, you know, the people that establish the roots wherever they live with vending routes in 3 years, the private equity groups are going to want to snatch up all the cash flowing assets like you're seeing in HVAC and plumbing right now.
100%.
Is it a free community or is it pay to get in?
Pay to get in. There's 2 kind of offers. There's like a done for you offer where we'll provide the cold calling and the email outreach with our sales reps. And then there's a do it yourself. We'll provide you the leads. You have access to the community, but you do all the outreach on your behalf. So we have a weekly call, and I have everything from how to create an LLC to contract templates with hotels or properties to, you know, how to negotiate commission with a property.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I think building a community is tough. I think we've explored the idea of building one for this Winning Wealth brand. So I commend you for that. I think it's really tough to, first off, like put the time into providing value for someone to pay to get into community, because there's so many Facebook groups out there and all these different things. And I think it's really it's tough to sell people on getting into community, and it starts with adding so much value. So I definitely commend you for being able to build that. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I challenge you on that, because there's like so much, like we built ours on the platform school, and there's so much, and it's just like a Facebook user interface. You can comment on people's posts. I mean, we got people talking about sales tax in Florida to their first micro market in Omaha, Nebraska last night. Like, but the other side of this that I haven't really kind of taken into consideration is the affiliate relationships. Like, people want access to the lenders you guys have. People want access to the realtors you guys have. And like, so I have every one of them, they're like, Mike, do you want a kickback? I'm like, no, I want my Vendingpreneurs to get a 10% minimum discount from you, and we'll recommend your business. So like, there's that piece of it. There's the exclusivity piece of, you know, we're only taking one, I don't know, person in Madison, Wisconsin. There's ways to build FOMO and a tribe. And then the other side of this is our offer is 6 months. And at 6 months, we now are having a bunch of students like, hey, we still want your cold callers and we still want access to your emails. And now we can pick, like, if they're not a good fit, get them out.
Yeah.
And let's talk about how you first got started with it, right? Because you built up your own personal brand and you, through social media for the most part, right? And then is that how you started to bring you know, potential people into your funnel. And by the way, I'm rambling a bit, but I do that all the time, so it's all good. The thing is, building a community is the way to do business now, right? Like you build you build a tribe, a community of people that you want to do business with and can do business with in the future. And those people can go on to be, lifelong business partnerships that just kill it in what they're doing. And you guys can both succeed together. So you build this community. Yeah, you pay a little bit of money to get into it, but you learn a lot. You get access to the resources that you have already and your knowledge and background on it. You get some help for it, but then also you can parlay that into other partnerships and other ways to work together in the future. So I wanted to take that back to the initial lead funnel though. Like how did you think about building up your social media and branding and to get that funnel kicked off?
Yeah, so there's a couple things there. So I want to get back to the community piece because I think this is very relevant. What you're doing with the podcast to me is the community, right? And how to continue to grow that. But Jeff, last September, I started a brand new Twitter that wasn't me tweeting about the Oregon Ducks and Brock Purdy and, the Iowa State Cyclones that play in the NFL. I was like, okay, I really need to probably create a brand here. So I created Mr. Passive last September. This is 13 months ago. I had a card landing page that was free with the call to action on the landing page was to my Calendly link. And right now, to date, 99% of my revenue, Vendingpreneurs is doing anywhere from 50 to 80 grand a month. 99% of my leads for that community come through Twitter, and it's DMs. And I have built a whole system of that, just funneling them to book a call. One of my first vending students is a sales guy, and now he's my closer. So I'm able to hand those calls off to him now. So that's kind of how I just started, was everyone wants to get lost in the weeds of what's my logo, what's my website. I went to Card, had one page, literally it was there was no about section. It was literally click here and it sent them the Calendly to book a call. And then I just asked them questions. And the first question I ask is where are you from? So Milwaukee. How much do you want to make with vending? Because I want them to visualize success. And if they say 100 grand, then they're gonna, the next question is how much money do you have to invest? Well, if you only have 2 grand, but you want to make 100 grand, no one can get that return.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so we have that all kind of built out. But now back to the data is king. 95% of my community is dads, and I have no idea why. I didn't target that. I didn't even. But you think about childcare is not free. College definitely is not free, and people want to set up generational wealth that isn't in the stock market. So it's kind of interesting. But I think back to the community piece, you guys have so much value, with the podcast. You think about, and I don't want to get into how to run your business, but you've done 13 of these. You have access to 13 different thought leaders. I would pay access to come to a live section of this podcast and have a Q&A with a guy that is doing roofing flipping, or who knows, some cash flowing service that we all have the same passion as an entrepreneur, whether that's vending or vacation rentals or high rises in Milwaukee.
There's so much to unpack there, and I keep wanting to go back to things that you had said, and then but I got to address the first thing, and you're totally right. We did this event. We had guys that have spoke on the podcast like this. We should have had you come out to speak on the event, but next year we'll get you for that. But and these guys, some of them own $150 million worth of real estate. Some of them own a wholesaling business. Some of them own dog grooming salons.
Yeah,
you name it, right? And across the board, these are people that you. And then again with the community thing, it's you can find ways to work with people that you like, that are part of your tribe, that have the same sort of interest, the same, their goals are shared and their visions aligned. And you can find ways to work together with people that are killing it in whatever aspect they're doing it in. So I totally agree. I think the tribe and the community approach is the way to go for anyone's business. And that's what we're trying to figure out a lot of things with that. And right now we're starting with the podcast and just talking to people that we're interested in hearing their stories. And that's
Yeah.
I want to break down quick. So you said you started the community, was it a couple years ago you said?
I started the community probably in January.
Wow. Okay. And you started you started with really simple, just a landing page and a calendar link. And you said now it's doing 50 to 80 grand a month.
Yeah. 125 members now all over the country, including Canada.
So if you've been listening to the podcast, you've probably heard us talk about this syndication model. We've talked about it a lot, and it's what we do at our business with Smart Asset Capital and has allowed us to grow into where we are today. My story, I got started in real estate about 5 years ago, started with a duplex and was struggling to find where to go next. How was I going to scale quicker? How was I going to get out of my job and build a business? Long story short, I landed on syndication. And 1 year after buying that duplex, I syndicated an 89-unit apartment building. Fast forward 10 syndication deals later, I decided to launch a one-on-one mentor program where I work directly with people that already have experience in real estate and want to get into syndication. So if you want to learn more about how you can work with me directly to get into your first syndication deal, go to www.cresyndicator.io, click on the Learn More link, and that'll have you fill out a form to book a call directly with me. Thanks. That's legit. That is awesome.
But Brock, you think about it, like I when I started my Twitter, it was Mr. Passive because I was thinking I was going to talk about Bitcoin mining that I do, Amazon FBA, cash flowing rentals in the Midwest, vacation rentals on the coast and in the mountains, and 98% of my questions on social media were around vending. So I just niched down. Now I'm like the vending guy, but when you ask the question, what are you going to be about in 2 years? Like, no one even really knows that my education actually is in human performance and like longevity. And like, to me, a perfect blend is like having enough passive income to live as long as I can to spend time with my family. Like if I had the trifecta, those are the three things I care about.
Which basically sums up this show too, what we're talking about with the winning wealth.
Yeah, exactly.
Health, happiness, and how to optimize for all those. And that's why I knew you'd be a great fit for this. And to your point, you said data is king, and I firmly believe that. Fundamentally, data is the new oil, right? The more data that you can have access to, that you can sort of efficiently gather that data together, and then find ways to quickly analyze that and figure out where you might need to niche down, right? Like you just said that, hey, I'll be the vending guy right now, but there's so many other things that you're interested in, but the data told you that. Right, you collected that data, those questions, and just the way that you're looking at, bringing in all different types of data across your businesses through these call centers. Like we always think about, like as long as we have the data and know who owns these properties, right, and we can build a relationship with them, we're not expecting to go buy properties, right away, right? But if we can build a relationship with these people over time, and maybe build businesses around that, other ways to service them, right? Like you mentioned other roofing type, company, you never know, like HVAC company, painting company, right? Like cleaning service across the board.
Yeah.
Will tell you which what's gonna make the most sense, what the best problems to solve are, and where you're able to to build that business out. And so I really agree with you there too. Data is king. It's the new oil.
Yeah, and it's back to the never eat alone. Like before you ask them if they're going to buy or sell, like you need to develop a relationship. Before you ask someone for a job, they need to know who the hell you are, but not just what your resume says type of thing. And that's why I think micro markets are a great value add for who you guys are dealing with, like property owners, property management groups, because it's an amenity that is going to get you in the door, and then when they want to sell the property across the street, you're going to be the first person they go to because you're already seeing them every week with the micro market.
They know you, they like you, they trust you, they like the micro market.
Exactly.
There's a ton of synergies with that, and so I completely agree. There's ways that we need to figure out how to work together with you, and I'm going to be, for everyone out there, I'm going to be joining Mike's group. I'm going to be 126, and we're gonna look this thing going. But that's it's awesome, man. I think I know we're kind of coming up on time here, so what we like to do is ask people, and we talked about it a lot, but and I didn't give you any questions to prepare for this, but do you have any sort of fundamental principles of success for any of those, wealth, health, optimization, that you would share with listeners or people that you might want to join your tribe?
The biggest foundation for me is discipline. Whether that's like not being on my phone when I'm, watching cartoons with my daughter, whether that's getting in the cold tub after a workout, the last thing I want to do is get in cold water, or, I was doing something for my Vendingpreneur group before our call, and I was getting blown up on my phone inbox for other things. And the discipline of like, this is something that's high leverage, I got to get done. Like it all comes back to discipline, and I keep coming back to if it's hard, you need to be doing it. If it's hard to go knock on that door, you need to do it.
I couldn't say it any better myself. Discipline. And we, to take it full circle, Jocko Willing's book, Discipline Equals Freedom. We talked about freedom, options, choices. I couldn't agree with you more, man.
Well, like Nick Saban, he's the most boring press conference to watch, and there's a reason. It's like we got to catch and throw before we can worry about if we're going to beat who we're playing, like.
We were just talking about that. It's all about the blocking and tackling. Have the discipline to do the right things consistently over and over and over again. And if you can discipline's a muscle. If you can build that,
mm-hmm.
And for everybody out there too, like your discipline kind of, it's like I call it the path of discipline, or maybe Jocko calls it that, but I you stray from it from time to time. And it's quickly realizing that, hey, wait a minute, I'm a little bit less disciplined than I should be. I'm not doing the right things. I'm not doing the hard things. I'm looking at my phone while I'm watching cartoons with my daughter. I don't have a daughter, to your point. And how do I quickly realize that and bring it back to, what, I got to be disciplined and focused on the things that matter the most.
Yeah. I mean, think about Friday afternoons. You have that sales demo and you tell them you're going to send the follow-up before the weekend. Well, 99% of your competitors aren't sending that.
They're sending it Monday morning. They checked out.
Monday morning, they're out.
Having the discipline to find ways to always be a step ahead of your competitors and to find opportunities that they're not finding and to capitalize on those. And I got to tell you, man, I've loved watching it. I like I said again, I want to work with you, man. And I really appreciate you coming on. We're going to have you on again at some point. We're going to have you coming out to Milwaukee and to be part of this tribe. And I want to be part of your tribe too, man.
Where's the...
I think our next one, we need to have Brock and I time you in a cold plunge and see if you can make it past 20 seconds with your ankles. And then we'll... that's all about discipline,
I will. Hey, I'm going to build that discipline muscle before then. Trust me. There's one thing that I like doing what people say I can't do. So you just made it personal. I like proving people wrong. So you got it, brother.
Before we wrap, where can people find you on socials? And if they want to learn more about Vendorpreneur, where can they find that too?
Yeah, I think the easiest place is probably just mrpassive.com. I mean, they can always shoot me a DM and on Twitter or Instagram. It's just pretty much Mr. Passive _. You can find me on there pretty easily, but I'm always down to the Never Eat Alone book is kind of what I've always, people that help me, I always think about why are they helping me, type of thing, what's in it for them. And so I'm always trying to do the same thing for other people because I got into vending through someone else. And, if someone else wants to get into vending through me, great. That's whatever we can do.
Nice. Love it.
Love it, man. You help enough people get what they want. You can have anything you want in this world. So,
yeah. But I think, I love your guys' kind of mission and just the whole vision of this. And, all I can say just from my community and the messages I get is there's a lot of people that this podcast can impact, and don't limit yourself to just real estate people, because I just keep coming back to like there's so many people, longevity, wealth, freedom, happiness, all of that is that's everyone's striving to have all of those things, whether that's a teacher or a realtor or a freaking investor, who cares?
100%. And that's we're gonna make you a regular guest on the podcast because it's ever evolving too, right? Whether it's business, whether it's new things that you find, right now, you see the benefits of cold tubs and sauna and resistance training and zone 2 cardio. We talked a little bit about, making sure you get enough protein, but there's always going to be things that evolve, and we're all trying to get better, consistently trying to get better.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought we would talk about McDonald's and why they're so successful? Like, that is, now I want to go read the whole book and watch the movie again about their franchise.
Ray Kroc.
About systems. Yeah, exactly.
100%. He's a GOAT. All right, this was fun.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no, thank you, dude. We're going to have you back.
Thanks for listening to the episode of Mr. Passive. I learned a lot in this one. I never knew going into this episode how profitable vending machines can actually be. To hear some of the numbers behind what he's making on an individual vending machine. He said $15,000 a month on one of them was super impressive. And then also how quick he was able to scale that community. I mean, to be able to go from the beginning of a year to 10 months later and it's generating $50,000, $80,000 a month was awesome. Gave me some inspiration and takeaways of what I can do to implement in my business. If you found value in this episode, share, subscribe, like, comment, send it to anyone that might find value out of this. We're continuing to grow this podcast, bringing on more and more guests. So everything you can do to support us is greatly appreciated. Thanks, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.